Hello and welcome to KRSE Beyond the Ordinary Webcast Radio, and oh, what a tangled web they weave. With your host, Nancy and Elena, we're going to get into some of that this hour.
Yeah, I think we're into a lot of that already. But, hey, George, the master economist here, is with us, also known as Sensei Yor, but we'll get to that part later. Hi.
Hi. So,
Hi.
how's the weather up where you are?
Hi, Sensei.
The reason I always start off with the weather is when it comes to economics, the weather has much more to do with the economy than hardly anyone will ever admit to.
How?
Well, for example, down here in Texas, we have a fairly severe drought going. And I was talking to a colleague who lives up in Oklahoma, not my friend Robin Lambry, but a friend of mine who's one of the handful of microbiologists that have PhDs in his field of study. And he was telling me that the plains grass up in Oklahoma is the worst he's ever seen it, and that it's starting to die. And so what that means is we can look out, some number of months into the future, and we know that the cattle herds will be a lot more expensive to feed. So while we may see some pressure holding down the price of beef, over the long term, as demand holds rather high because not too many people are vegetarian yet, that means that as the size of herds come down, the price of beef will likely start to go up here. Probably, I'm guessing October, November, we'll start seeing some pretty good-sized beef price increases. See how practical this stuff is?
It is. Time to get a couple of cows along with the goats.
Well, yeah, I got the goats. In fact, we're up at, our herd is up to 23, and by the end of August we should be, because we'll have some more goatlings come along. I've always, you can't really call them, well, they're either doelings or bucklings, but I just call them goatlings because it's politically correct, and I don't want to be sued by the Goat Lovers Union or something.
Which is not a far-out assumption that could happen.
Oh, no. In fact, I hear they are here comes a bad mythological reference, they are a pan-national organization.
Oh, that's a good one.
Isn't that? Yeah.
I tell you,
from the top
George,
of my pointed head.
I absolutely love your intros to things. It's like, what we'll talk about later, trouble in the Wujo.
Oh, the Wojo.
Wujo. Chill with
Wujo.
me here,
Trouble in the
Grasshopper. You're good. But,
well, it's kind of interesting.
But we jump ahead.
First, that's jumping ahead. And I'd rather share one interesting concept with folks because it just hit me literally. The phone call I was on when we hooked up just a couple of minutes ago was my youngest daughter, Allison, up in Seattle, was just laid off from her high-tech, it's in the RNA, DNA field. Good job, good company, but just everybody it seems that this company does business with is going slow pay. So out of 3 kids that are in the 30 down to 26-year-old age bracket, I am 343 unemployed right now. And this brings me to a thought point. If you know maybe 20 or 30 people in your circle of friends, you can get a pretty decent idea of what the real economy is doing by developing something I call the personal unemployment rate, or PUR. What you do is you take up all your friends that you know, and then you add up, well, let's say it's 25 friends, and then you add up how many of those people are unemployed. And let's say it's 10 people are unemployed. 10 divide 25 into 10, and that is the unemployment rate of your personal circle of friends. And it's a great way to sometimes get a little vision on how real people are being in Washington when they put out these statistics about, oh, the unemployment rate is only 9.8%. But that doesn't count people like my daughter who just got laid off from her full-time job, who will now not be counted as unemployed because she has been working part-time at open-air vegetable markets. Okay, so she's got some college and she's got some high-tech experience and has been in, the 35,000 and up kind of income, and now she's going down to part-time, 20 hours a week, $8-9 an hour kind of thing. That's really telling, because when somebody takes that kind of an income hit and has to start banging on the door of the National Bank of Dad, I don't mind helping out. I mean, that's what parents are all about. But the really interesting thing about it is she is typical of what I call the ghostly unemployed, those that do not show up in the statistics, yet every bit of her existence now is going to be, concerned with cutting off anything she can get away with. Her cell phone minutes will drop. She'll drop to a cheaper cell phone plan. She'll stop going out to dinner with her boyfriend. She'll cut off her Netflix subscription. She'll, not be able to buy the things for where she lives that she wants to. And she's fortunate because she happens to be an award-winning chef also. So she can pick up, this and that in the high-end food service business. But even that is collapsing because people just don't have the money to say, hey, it's Friday night, let's take $100 from our entertainment budget and go out and hit some dinner. Well, there ain't no entertainment budget. $100 is a lot of money. That's a good-sized chunk of a house payment, car payment, rent, or if you're lucky enough to have it, in insurance, like health insurance. And so we have to get real here as a country about there ain't no stimulus coming down the road that I've seen that's tangible yet, and the bankers are really putting the screws to people, and that's a whole next adventure to tell you about.
Yes,
yeah.
And that was an interesting part about that, something I read in yesterday's urbansurvival.com. And that is time to stop blaming the bankers because they only get 10%. That was very illuminating to me. And maybe, well, let's see, people can still look at that one, go to last week's archives and check that out because that's interesting. But you also had, and I know exactly what you're talking about, that is very good for people to do because it stops the vague assumptions, imaginings going on and puts it rock hard in your face. It's in my family. That's what's happened to yours there is what's happened here. And unfortunately, the mama bank isn't able to help.
It isn't national anyway.
So
the National Bank of Dad is presently experiencing a run on it, and I'm trying to figure out how I can go get in Tiny Tim's TARP line so that the National Bank of Dad can get some of this here free taxpayer money on the promise of paying it back someday. And if the National Bank of Dad has to be nationalized as part of the process, what the hell? We own AIG, GM, and how many other companies? So let's just go for it and socialize the whole country, be done with it. Oops, did I say something bad?
Well, I tell you, the so-called Obama plan to help us poor little people down here so that all of this can trickle down is no help at all. I just checked it out.
The big surprise is for stuff to trickle down, you first have to bend over so it can trickle.
Yeah, yeah.
and it ain't pretty out there right now. I won't kid you about it.
Well, and apparently, in order to take advantage of Obama's help, your mortgage has to be in Fannie Mae.
Well, yeah. I mean, there's all kinds of things. The amount of money I paid in taxes last year, I figure the government motors people owe me half of a new car. But they don't see it that way. They want me to buy General Motors and then buy a car on top of it. And I'm having a hard time with that concept. I can pay my taxes or I can buy a new car. I guess I have to do the one that keeps me out of jail. And that's where we get to. That's why right now, this morning's report, I related some information. There's a very good money. There are a handful of heads-up money management companies around the world that I hold in just incredibly high regard. Hoisington Associates out of Austin is one, and they made a very astute observation in their July newsletter about the velocity of money slowing down. Another one that's very good, by the way, and has a fine grasp of things, is an outfit called Sprott, S-P-R-O-T-T, Sprott Asset Management. Another really heads-up group of folks who at least have a clue what's going on. And the problem, as I outlined in this morning's report on urbansurvival.com, is that the government statistics that we read are often way out of phase with what we go through experientially. In other words, the producer price index, the aggregate impact of the producer price index indicates that we are still in an area where we could hit new highs in the market. We won't because so many people have been laid off that the amount of 401k money washing in is declining quite rapidly, and so we're seeing some decline in the lag time between. Is this getting too complicated without a flip chart up here?
No.
We can see here on slide 2 kind of thing that what ends up happening is as the velocity of money decreases, which is to say the longer banks keep sitting on their thumbs, the shorter lag time we'll have between PPI